Welcome in everyone to episode 21 of Girl, How'd You Get That Gig? For my co-host, Amy G, I'm Celeste Gehring. Our guest today is one we have been bananas about. It's a success story we all dream of, having an idea and vision and then making it come true. We're so excited to welcome in and chat with co-owner of the collegiate summer team, the Savannah Bananas. Please welcome in Emily Cole.
Ladies.
Yay! Oh my gosh, we have been so excited about this interview because we just love the product. It's so much fun on social media to see a Savannah Bananas post. I'm always like, oh, nope, got to stop for this. Even if I have time or not, I'm stopping and watching what dance they're doing. It's just fun. Everything about what you do is good vibes. So we know that you'll appreciate how we kick off our show because we kick it off with a game. So we like to have fun.
We love
too.
games.
Yes, we love games. Our game is called Girl Gig Quick Pick. And so we know you're an expert on your team, but we wanted to see how much you know about your team's namesake, Savannah and Bananas. You ready?
This should be fun.
Okay, don't stress. We
never.
Yeah. Okay, here you go, Emily. First question is multiple choice. Okay. What can cause havoc for banana farmers? Spiders, Panama disease, monkeys, or fruit flies?
I feel like monkeys is the tongue-in-cheek answer. I'm gonna go number one, spiders.
So I thought that too. That was my first thought because I think like tarantulas and stuff come in the boxes but it's actually Panama disease. So then I had to look that up because I wasn't sure what it was. Okay. It's a fungus which attacks the root of banana plants.
Terrifying.
You tell your crew to stay away from the Panama disease. Okay. Yeah, no Panama disease. Yeah.
All right, we got another multiple choice for you.
Okay, good.
All right. What is considered by many to be Savannah's most haunted site, according to the Examiner? A, Moon River Brewing, B, River Street Inn, C, Savannah College, or D, SCAD Museum of Art?
I'm gonna say C.
Ooh. No, the answer is so close. A is Moon River Brewing, used to be the City Hotel. Many who work or who have been there have claimed to see ghosts.
I've only had good experiences there, so okay.
But you got a good aura. They're leaving you alone.
Yes.
They don't want
to
scare. Yeah, you have a halo.
Away.
Yes. Okay, which of the following is true? Bananas can be used to calm itchy mosquito bites. Bananas can be used to polish patent leather shoes, or bananas can help regulate your blood pressure.
I'm going to say B.
So I'm going to give you a hint because it's a trick question.
I'm really going to try to go for getting all of them wrong today, guys.
But you're so close to the right answer. All of the above. All of the above. They're actually, they're all true. I did not know you could use bananas to polish your shoes. All true, high in potassium, and they help your blood pressure. So.
Good. Love all those things. Okay.
Yes. I know you're going to get this one right, though, for sure. Okay,
for
ready?
Sure. We have faith.
True or false? Savannah was founded in 1733 by colonists led by James Edward Oglethorpe, and it's considered to be the oldest city in Georgia.
True.
Good job.
I was like waiting for more to trick me, but okay, we got that
was it. Good job. Right. They were fun questions to pull together.
Fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. We all learned together.
We all learned. Yes.
Who dreads swimsuit shopping? We do, that's for sure, and that's why friend of our program, Denise Foley, created Sunset Vibes Swimwear. If you want to look good, feel good, and wear a suit that fits perfectly, check out sunsetvibesswimwear.com. Most brands use generic grading to determine sizes, but Sunset Vibes Swimwear took more than 2 years to fit test over 100 women from size 2 to size 26, ensuring every curve was considered and every body type fit to a T. Everything is sustainable, made in LA, and ladies, you deserve to feel amazing in swimwear. That's Sunset Vibes, VIBES, swimwear.com, and the search for the perfect swimsuit is over.
You know, not a lot of people can say they own a team. So let's start with how you became an owner And what's entitled in your everyday duties?
So it was not something that we set out to do. My husband and I both started in the industry doing what most people do, is doing ticket sales, entertainment, a little bit of everything, pulling tarp pretty much every day, you know, how we all start. And got to a point where we were basically running a team just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. We were running it together. And we had mentors who were getting older and they were ready to kind of get out of the business. And we were doing everything day to day and they had really taken us under their wings. And so when it became time for them to exit and sell, we were kind of that next choice. And it just made sense anyway, since we were already running things. So we didn't really set out to like go buy a team, but we're in the right place and had the right mentors and put in a lot of hard working years under these people. And so kind of gained their respect, and then had the conversation of, hey, can you help us do this? And so, of course, it wasn't your typical sale. You know, we weren't coming to the table with a ton of cash, but we at least made the deal. And then from there, kind of had the opportunity to get into owning other groups. So that's how it started.
Well, if we focus on the Savannah Bananas, this is how it seemed from the outside anyway. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of work that was put into it, but it felt like they just blew up. Like they hit the scene and it skyrocketed. So was there an element of concern when you first launched, or an element of surprise that it exploded like it did? And then how have you, kept up with the demand? Because you guys are everywhere.
Yeah. So in the beginning, it was definitely not the case. We actually got hate mail. We had hate letters. It was a really, really rough start because so Jesse and I had owned a team in North Carolina, and within our league, we were looking to expand, but didn't know where that was going to be. And then he and I actually went to Savannah, Georgia, and went to a minor league game, and there was nobody there. And we were really surprised because we were in this beautiful historic ballpark. It was huge. It's a great market. And so we called the owner of our league and said, hey, if this market ever opens up, we would love to bring a team here. And so then lo and behold, when that minor league team left, we just started having those conversations and said, we're going to try to make this happen. So it did happen pretty quickly, but we are now outsiders coming into a city. Like neither of us grew up there. We hadn't worked there before. And what we were bringing in was a collegiate summer wooden bat league team. And so they're used to 90 years of minor league ball. So to everybody there, that's professional baseball, right? And we are kind of like these kids running kind of a joke team that doesn't really matter. And then, of course, we have our entertainment spin on things as well. So you put all that together and nobody really wants to take us seriously. Then we come in and we do a name the team contest, which is pretty normal. But we went with bananas, which was actually suggested by a nurse who lived in Savannah. And so we chose her idea. And so now people are like, no, you truly are crazy and you have no business being here and you're naming your team after a fruit. And so it was
That's
really
not a
rough
peach,
start.
by the way. Not a peach.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly. They would have been nicer with
Mhm.
Georgia peaches, but it was a really rough start. And so we actually did days of training with our staff and players on, hey, when you get hate, this is how you react. Like we're not gonna yell back at people. We're just gonna take it in stride. And I mean, we had to go through trainings of how bad it was when people would stop us if we were wearing our shirt or just answering the phone in the office because people would call and yell at us and then hang up. And so it was really rough in the beginning. So of course, now looking back, everyone just thinks it's this huge success. But it's probably over a decade's worth of work that my husband and I had put in at other teams from learning. And then that first year was really a struggle in Savannah as we kind of came into a new community and tried to insert ourselves and win people over with the fun that we were planning on having, but we just hadn't proven ourselves yet. So definitely a rocky start. Fortunately, we have proven ourselves, I think, over and over again, where people go and they realize you can have fun, you can let go of the daily stresses that you have. And so now, yes, the demand is wilder than we could have ever imagined. We have 2.6 million people on a ticket waiting list to try to get tickets this year. And so keeping up with it, not exactly realistic. We are trying to grow as quickly as we can while also keeping the product safe and sacred. You never want to get too big for your britches or do something that you're not ready for. And so we're really intentional on that, but we are trying to go to larger stadiums and just take care of more fans, because that's where we're falling short right now, is not being able to serve the amount of people who want to be a part of it.
Good problem to have.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. I am shocked. Are you, Celeste? I'm shocked
Yeah,
at
totally.
how it started. I mean, I'm so glad you shared that. But you think it was just based on the entertainment side, like taking away the serious side of baseball, going to more the entertainment side, and like now we're not going to be
Yeah.
a feeder to a big league team?
I think that's a big part of it. I think everybody anywhere in life, we're just used to certain things being certain ways. And anytime there's change, you're going to have apprehension. And so it takes a little bit of time before people get warmed up to any sort of change. And we were a big change, not even just a little one. And so, I don't blame them at all. I understand looking at us and being like, y'all are crazy. I mean, we think that about ourselves sometimes. So it's understandable. We had to come in and prove ourselves. And fortunately, we had an amazing team around us starting in that first year. And we went out and we got involved in the community, and we've put on a great show for them every single time we've opened up the gates at Grayson Stadium. And so fortunately, over the years, we've kind of won people over.
Let's talk about your personal journey. Where did you grow up? Were you an athlete? Did you always love baseball?
Yeah, so I grew up in upstate New York and didn't know this is exactly how I wanted to, live my life, but was very outdoorsy, played sports growing up. I have 3 brothers, so very active family. And I went to school for a little bit of everything. I studied marketing, communications, PR, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it. Graduated a little bit early, so I'm like 21, loving life. I go and I get myself this first big girl job, and it's at this marketing company. And, that's such a sexy title. I was like a marketing coordinator, and I thought I was awesome. And then I started sitting at a cubicle every day with nobody around me, just staring at a screen. And I was like, wait, this is marketing? And I ended up hating my 8 to 5. Like that type of marketing was not for me. And so what I did is I went out at night and I started working at the local baseball team just to have some fun in my life. It was just, hey, I want to be outside. I want to be around people. And so those boxes were kind of checked. If I was like, hey, I'll just go work at a concession stands or doing promotions it was the Binghamton Mets at the time in Binghamton, New York. Yeah. And so I hated my 8 to 5 and I loved my 5 to 10. And so then the wheels start turning of, hey, could this be a career? Could I do this? And so that's when I started moving over. I interviewed with Ripken Baseball, and I went to work with Ripken for a couple of years and really got my start in the industry.
We always really try and put a large focus in our podcast about education and the path that is for each individual that we interview. And it's different for everybody. But for those listening, it's a lot of college students getting ready to graduate, not sure what they want to do. And they're looking to us and who we're interviewing to see what your path was. So I know you said, you took a lot of different classes. What specifically, where did you go to school? And then I think you mentioned what you majored in, but how did you choose that? And how do you feel it has or has not played a role in where you are now?
Yeah, I have some really strong views on college. I think it is great for so many reasons. I'm also hesitant to say at 16 or 17, you should know exactly what you want to do. I did not spend a lot of money on college. I went to a state school. I went to SUNY Oneonta because I was from New York. And so right off the bat, I was like, hey, I'm not driven necessarily right now to be a lawyer or to be a doctor. And so since I don't know my direct path, I'm going to stay at a state school, and I'm not going to rack up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I don't know exactly what I want to do, so I'm going to study something that's a little broad. So I did communications and marketing and PR because I thought that could probably apply to a lot of different things. And so I'm grateful that I had, the family support and just the knowledge at that point to not say, hey, I'm going to go study this when I wasn't super passionate about one thing. I think what really helped me was just getting my hands dirty. I took every part-time job, every internship. They were all unpaid back then. Every single thing that I could do, I did, because I knew that by doing is how I would figure out where my passions truly were. I grew up in a small town. I wasn't exposed to any of the jobs that are out there nowadays. And so I used that college time to kind of grow up as a person and just learn a little bit about life and diversity and things that I wasn't exposed to. But I was not set on, hey, when I walk out of these these doors, I'm going to know exactly what I'm going to do with that college degree. And so I just did a kind of a broad study and then used those years and years after it to just get involved in anything that I could. And fortunately, it led me pretty quickly into, down a path and into a career that I love.
It actually sounds like at a really young age, you were kind of an old soul, knowing don't choose a path if you're not totally sure about it, which is also huge advice for
Yeah.
everybody listening. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
what you said. I'm the same way. 16, 17, 18. I'm 50. I'm not sure what I want to do.
Right.
It's all ever evolving. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the idea of cultures that do gap years. It's not really such a known thing here, so it's not as normal, but I just love that idea of finding yourself and trying new things. And you might be exposed to something you're super passionate about that you just didn't grow up around. And so, very, very, big fan of that stuff.
I love it.
What were some of the internships you specifically had in college, and what did you learn from those?
I did everything: events, hospitality, sports. And again, it was just to try things and to learn about things. It wasn't, hey, I'm going to intern at this law firm because I want to work at this law firm. It was, hey, how can I go into this space and learn what I love about this space or this industry or these people and build connections, because I might end up wanting to do this in the future, or I might not, but what can I learn from this industry that I can then take elsewhere? So I did a ton of them. I don't even remember them all. I just remember saying yes to all of them. And again, they were unpaid, so people would take me. It wasn't a hard sell.
Free labor.
Exactly. And some would be 6 weeks and some would be 6 months. But I just said yes to a lot of things so that I could figure out what was out there and what I wanted to do.
It's like a theme we've had in almost every show. Say yes. Say yes, say yes, say yes. It may not be what you think you want to do, but also if you find out that it's not what you want to do, there's an answer. Like, it helps
Absolutely
carve your path. So we love to share like a linear timeline too of the jobs that got you to where you are today. So you mentioned you take this 9-to-5 marketing job. It is not your jam. So it sounds like you've had a lot of jobs. What can you share about, from that job? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
Yeah. It actually hasn't been that many, but I definitely switched careers early on. Yes. A lot of internships in school. And then I got right into this full-time marketing job. And probably 6 or 10 months after I started that, I went and got that part-time job at the ballpark. And so I don't even think I made it a full year in marketing in that profession. And then I switched immediately over and started working with Ripken by the next season. And so at probably 22, 23, I was already in the baseball industry. So I worked with Ripken for a few years. I learned a lot from them. They had 3 minor league teams at the time. And so I traveled to some of their different ballparks and learned a lot about ticket sales and sponsorships and community events and just everything that I could from that great organization. They had youth baseball, just learned a little bit of everything. At that time, I wanted to be closer to home, so I moved back up north. I worked with the Vermont Lake Monsters for a while. And then I had been connected to Jesse the year prior, my husband. So he and I met at the minor league baseball promo seminar in 2011. So we first met in 2009. Actually, my boss at Ripken heard him speak on stage, and she called me and she's like, I just met the guy you're going to marry. And I was like,
love it.
Of course, I'm young in my career. I do not care about this. We're taught very early on, like, don't mingle with the guys, don't mingle with the players. It was the same for me with staff. It was like, I'm here to build my career. I am very driven. I don't want any distractions. So I was like, I'll talk to him, but I'm just going to get ideas from him because he's obviously brilliant. What he's doing at his team is really great. So we talked in 2009, but it was just professional for a couple of years. And then we re-met at the 2011 minor league baseball promo seminar in Myrtle Beach. And that's when like sparks were really flying, and we've been together ever since. So at that point, I was still in Vermont, and I left that team to move down to North Carolina to help him run the team that we eventually bought together years later. So it hasn't been too much. I was very fortunate to get into an industry, early on that I loved. But again, I think it's because of how I set myself up ahead of time by being broad and looking at a lot of different options to know, hey, this one's not right. And then as soon as I got in this industry, I was like, this is it. Like, I feel filled up every day. I'm super passionate about this. I knew it was the right fit.
Many of our listeners have learned that ticket sales is a great entry-level position to start in. Why do you think that is? What's so great about ticket sales as an entry-level position?
I mean, probably just that there is the biggest opportunity there. I mean, it's so hard to walk into a team and become the marketing director. You know, I guess nowadays there's more with social media positions and everything, but back in the day, it was like one person in our marketing department, one person in our finance department, but ticket sales, I was like, we'll take all of them. So ticket sales always had the biggest opportunity. And so that's why I think it was probably easy for me to get into it, is because they just needed people to help sell tickets. Looking at it now in a different perspective, I think that there is such a great opportunity for you to prove yourself in that position, because it's not just sales. There's so much about relationship building, organization, you know, being a good teammate, covering for other people. There's so many other things that can go into being a ticket rep, that probably you don't know early on. That's probably just an easy way in the door. And most teams will say yes to a salesperson. You know, it's a smaller risk. My first salary was $19,000. So, I mean, they weren't taking a huge risk on me, but then you make commission if you do well. So I think it's probably an easy way in, but then you as a person have a big opportunity to prove yourself or move departments or whatever else once you're in.
Yeah. It's a position too that'll weed people out quickly. Like if you have the intestinal fortitude to stick with it, you're going to rise, because a lot of people fall off. It's not for everybody. Can we just take a moment and talk about the names of minor league teams? Because I think she dropped Vermont Lake Monsters.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I just, I work for the Giants, and my favorite name is the Richmond Flying Squirrels. And I mean, it's just the names are so much fun. And in general, I just need to give a little shout out to that. Okay. So another thing that our audience hears a lot is that when you work in sports, you very likely will have to move. And you did. I did not.
Okay.
I moved Southern California to Northern California, but I moved home, which was really, really rare. And I was able to stay in California for my whole career, which is also really rare. What advice do you have for people entering the business at any age or stage about being flexible, about potentially needing to relocate?
I think that with any job in any career, you have to look at that first and say, is this an option for me? Because if it means more to you, I'm a big family person. If it means more to you to be where you grew up and be with your family, then there are ways that you could still follow your passion. It just might not be the easy way. If you send your resume out to 100 teams, you'll probably get a call back. It might be from across the country. If you're willing to do that, great. If you're not, then it might not be the first person who calls you back. I mean, there's going to be a local team. There's going to be some sports team within an hour of where you are, most likely. It might just be harder to get in that door. And so I think you just have to evaluate what is more important for me at this time in my life, in this season. Are you married? Are you tied down? Like, what are the reasons? Are your parents getting older? Are they sick? Like, do you need to stay home right now? Okay, then you focus on really putting in the work and proving yourself, or taking that unpaid internship at your hometown team, because you have to be at that location. If you're more flexible and you want to just get in the door and get a team on your resume, great. Then you can accept the job in Florida, move there for a couple of years, and then call that hometown team, and all along be in communication with them. Hey, this is my goal. I want to come back. I'm okay right now in Florida. I'm putting in my time. I'm learning a lot. I'm hungry. I want to be with your team, but I'm doing my due diligence right now. So just let me know when I can come. So I think you have to look internally and decide what's most important to you first. If you move across the country for a job, but you are a homebody and you need to be with your parents or your significant other, it's not going to work out for a multitude of reasons. Like, you're just setting yourself up to not succeed by doing that. So I think look internally first and decide what's really important to you is the first step of anything.
Right? Passion and loving where you are and what you do is they go hand in hand. Yep. Great advice. I love that all.
Okay. What are the best and toughest parts about being an owner?
Time to dish, Emily. Time to dish.
So best parts are our people. We have the most incredible team, and I think that we were able to set that stage and build that culture from the ground up. Fortunately, we didn't take over a team. We went in and we built it. There was nobody there. It was just Jesse and myself. And so every single person who has joined that circle, that nucleus, is really special to us. We trust our kids with them. We do not look over their shoulder because we know what kind of human being they are. And so for me, that's the best part, is just being surrounded. I mean, I travel the country with 200 of my best friends every week. It's surreal how incredible our life is and how many incredible people we're surrounded by every day. So that is the best part for sure, is that we kind of had a say in who we were going to be influenced by every day and who we were going to build this amazing thing with. We're on a team together, and we got to handpick those people. So that's the best part. I would say that the hardest part is taking care of them in a way that they need us to. So we're constantly thinking about what will keep them fulfilled, what will be the best way to serve them and their growing families. You know, we all started when we were in our early 20s together. Now everyone has kids and a family. And so it's, okay, can we bring the whole family on the road with us? Like, how are we going to serve them to the best of their needs while also being wise as a company and growing in the right ways in an organization? So I would say just the balance of serving them correctly and taking care of them, it has grown really quickly. So there are hundreds of us now. And so yes, we remember everybody's birthday and those things, but getting to know somebody on a deep level, like, that gets harder as you get to the size that we're at. And so Jesse and I are constantly trying to remind each other and remind ourselves to write the handwritten notes and to check in on so-and-so's mom and that sort of thing. And so that is probably the most challenging thing, is being able to connect with them and care about them in the same way that we could when there were 10 of us in the office.
Yeah, being genuine and authentic as you grow. So how old are your kids, hon? Are they little?
6, 5, and 2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're in the thick of it.
You are. So you can answer this or not answer it. It's totally up to you, because it's kind of personal, but we only interview women, and we do that because we think it's different for women in sports, and there are different challenges that you face as a female in general. But I want to talk to you about being a mom. I'm a mom. There's mine up there. They were once that age, and now one's in college and one's going to be a junior in high school. So it goes like that, which is good. Kind of. It's kind of sad, but it's also good, because there's days you're like, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
But what I see so much at the professional level is the couples that get, married, college sweethearts, high school sweethearts, whatever, have babies, early in his career. She's able to travel until they're 5 or 6 with the crew. But then when they start school, you got to hunker down, and the mom stays there while he continues to travel. How are you going to approach that need for consistency in the kids' lives where you are, versus being able to be a co-owner and, fulfill your responsibilities in your job?
Yeah, such a good question. My husband and I talk about this daily. So our oldest just turned 6, and so he was in kindergarten last year, and we actually have a kind of a unique situation. So we're actually licensed foster parents as well.
Yes.
And so we had to be based in the state of North Carolina because that's where we were licensed. So if you're listening and paying attention, that's not where Savannah, Georgia is. We are about 5 hours away from Savannah because we live in Charlotte. And so we are based here because that's where our license is. That's where our girls' birth families are. But we have a business in Savannah, Georgia. And now, of course, we're in a different weekend all over the country every week. So it has been a challenge over the last couple of years. And it's been a lot of, hey, I'll fly home with this kid, or I'll drive home with this kid to go to a court visit or a therapy or whatever is needed. And we've just always lived that life of being on the go, living out of our suitcase, being agile, just going with the flow. So we knew as we approached the school years, hey, this might look a little different for us, but let's try things. We are very big believers in do and then learn. Like, just jump in. You can analyze and you can look at spreadsheets and you can read the books, but you don't know what's going to happen until you do it. And so we had our oldest go to kindergarten last year, and it was great experience, great school, but we were taking red eyes home with him to like get him back for school the next morning. He's like on a West Coast schedule, that games all weekend, because the kids are very much a part of our life and our business, and they're, they got 100 big brothers who they love hanging out with. But then I'm like getting him back on a red eye to get up for school the next morning. And it just didn't work for our family. So although I never thought I would say this sentence, I am becoming a homeschool mom, and we have decided to homeschool next year. And so again, it's not what I would have written for myself a couple of years ago, but as this organization grows, as our passion grows with it, I'm not the kind of personality that wants to stay back and have my husband go travel and I miss out on it. I'm very much a part of it, and I love it. And so the toss up is, do you stay home and cut that part out for this season and just don't work, or do you do something that's a little bit unconventional? So that's what we're doing. We're going to continue to travel and homeschool on the road. So it's only kindergarten and first grade this year. I think I can handle that. As it gets older, maybe call me and I'll be like, oh, no, we stopped that homeschool thing. We're back.
All I'll share on that is like third grade math is not what it used to be. Like, I'm out.
I'm giving myself a year and then we'll see. But
I felt like it looked like calculus all of a sudden. I'm like, what is going? Yeah. But you figured out. I love that saying, do and then learn. I mean, that's how you figure out what's best for your crew. Right.
Correct.
And it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's what works for you and your family. And I think
and we try to lead by example with our team. Like I said, everybody else is starting to have babies and get married. And so we're trying to give ourselves permission to try things and do things so that we can be an example for them and say, hey, you don't have to do this just because the rest of the world does this. Right. You can pave your own path. Now, obviously, since COVID, homeschooling has become way more popular. So it's not like, we're the first people doing this. We're not pioneering. And then we're, of course, also not like living off the land. This is going to be a different kind of homeschool. The kids are going to be doing it in a ballpark parking lot or in the hotel room. But we are going to try to figure it out, because like you said, that is what fits our family right now. And that's who I have to advocate for. And, I have to put in that effort for our family unit to stay together and stay strong as we grow this organization. And so that's what we're choosing to do this year.
I'm just going to add, I know Celeste is going to ask the next question, but I felt very perplexed in my career because Paul covers the NFL, I covered MLB, that we didn't have what I considered a traditional family experience. I grew up dinner at 5:00. My dad was home from work, 9 to 5. He had the same situation. And I remember really stressing about, we're not having dinner every night together. I'm at a game, and he said, yeah, no, we have breakfast and lunch every day with our kids. And then if you're not home, I am. Like one of us is home because our schedules, and the Giants did go to the playoffs a lot. But we had like a month and a half where we were both really in it. Otherwise, it was 10 and a half months that one parent was always home. And I remember having that moment of like, you know what? And also, the kids don't know any differently.
Right.
This is what their tradition is. They don't know what I had or what Paul had, and that we feel guilty about it. And it was so freeing to let that go and say, oh, we're doing what's best for our situation. So I think that's
absolutely. Yeah. And I'll add that we have help. A couple of years ago, we were at the point where I was like, I feel like I'm drowning. And so we had those conversations, and we went through an au pair agency, and we have an au pair who came from Colombia and travels with us. And so I'm the first person to be like, hey, don't think that I'm a rock star, because I am not doing this by myself. I have help who comes in, and Jesse and I are both at the ballpark until 1:00 in the morning, multiple nights a week. And so everyone's like, how does that work? And it's like, I have help. Like we have invested in that because it helps our family stay stronger and stay healthier. This girl knows everyone's bedtimes. They know what everyone's allergic to. They know all of the things. And that just helps us succeed more as a family. So big advocate of getting the help where
Getting
you
help.
need it.
And I had that say, I didn't have an au pair, but I moved back to Petaluma because my mom is around the corner and
Yeah.
all of my high school friends are here in town, and it takes a village. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you're doing. It takes a village to raise a family. So
Yeah.
I hear you. Shout out, get the help.
Absolutely. And I want to emphasize again what you said about just jumping in and learning, because I think it's so empowering for you to say that, especially to our female audience, because there are so many young women, and I think women that I look across the board at every stage of their career, who always wait until it's perfect. And they move like snails, and it takes forever because everything has to be just right. Everything has to be, oh, okay, I don't want to look bad. I don't want to look stupid. And, one of the best lessons I ever learned is you never want to be the smartest person in the room. And I really aim for that all the time, to really jump in and learn from others. So I just want to emphasize that again about what you said to our audience, because it is so important for people to really hear that and do it,
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
And I would just add on to that, Celeste. If people are looking for the perfect time, good luck.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
luck.
it's not going to happen.
It's going to pass them by.
There isn't a perfect time to do anything, whether it's buying your first home, having children, fostering children. Like, it's jump in and figure it out. That's the perfect way to do it, because I hear that all the time. Like, well, I'm just waiting till I have a little more saved or this or that. Well, get good luck. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Marie Forleo wrote a book called Everything is Figure Outable. And that is the book that spurred us to start fostering. It was right as COVID was starting. I mean, we're running an entertainment business. It's like, what is about to happen to our world? We had a 1-year-old. Like, all of the reasons were there to not do it. But I read that book, and it was just so inspiring that everything is figure outable no matter where you are in life. And we just said, hey, let's do it. So yeah, to your same point, there's never going to be a perfect time, but if you believe everything is figure outable or you'll learn from the situation, then it's totally safe to jump in.
Yep. Yep.
Well, we know that there was a perfect time this year, at least we thought so, where you actually signed on your first female player, Jocelyn. Can you talk about what went into that and how great she was? It was just phenomenal to watch her.
Yeah, so we have a relationship with her because she actually played for us last year just for one game when we were in Oklahoma City. So the tour took us to Oklahoma City last year. We built a relationship with her people while we were out there. And she was like, yeah, I'll come hit for you guys. So I think she just took an at bat with us last year, but the relationship started. And so this year, when we were looking at her schedule and talking to her people, it worked out where she could be with us for a little over a month. And so we jumped at it. She was a great fit culturally. And we're always trying to do new, unique, different things. And to be able to give her that stage and that platform, by joining us was really special. And of course, we're always trying to inspire. And I mean, how can you inspire more than having a female come up and compete with these guys? And then to tag on to that, we just launched our third team called the Firefighters. And our head coach is a female coach. She plays for the national team. Yeah. Her name is Val Perez. She is a total stud. Absolutely adore her and her family. But she is our head coach now for the Firefighters, and just the respect that she commanded from day one. So she is an actual firefighter in real life. And then she also plays on the national baseball team. So, I mean, perfect fit anyways. But she's just coming in and proving the same thing that Jocelyn proved, that they have a right to be there, that they have a spot, they belong. And so, yeah, I mean, the amount of families and little girls that we have who come up to us at every game and say, I'm inspired, I want to do what she's doing. It makes it all worth it. And we know that we're on the right path by kind of leading by example in that way, and putting the right people up on a stage.
I love how much over our careers it's changed what little girls and little boys are saying. I want to be like this, and even if you go into politics or whatever, like the amount of female presence that we're seeing all across, the board in our world. It's that whole, if you see it, you can be it kind of thing. And I'm just so excited that they're looking at a female playing baseball. So kudos to you guys. That's just fantastic. The whole experience though it's fascinating and fun, as we mentioned, which is kind of the whole point. And I think we could all use a little more of it in our lives. And so let's talk about all that's going on, because there's a lot more than baseball going on. That's kind of like the foundation, but all of your players are so talented and they can dance, they can sing and do tricks. Even, your little chunky umpires get into it. And that's like one of my favorite when I'm scrolling through. I'm like, oh, here goes the umpire. Here he goes. He's gonna go. And it's so cute. And it's so like, what's happening? Especially coming from my world of it's also serious.
Yes.
It's also serious. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is fabulous. So was it always the case? And forgive me if I'm wording this wrong, you just correct me, but it feels like it's marketed more as a show than a traditional baseball game, but it's
100%.
not. Okay. So was that always the case or did this evolve?
It's definitely been an evolution. And that's why it always irks me when people are like, oh my God, you guys are like overnight sensation. I was like, yeah. Like 20 years. But yes, it first started when Jesse and I had that team in North Carolina. And the first thought was him saying, I played baseball. I'm now the owner of a team and I am bored watching this. And so the thought was, how do we make it so that people aren't bored? If we're bored and we're the ones that are so in it, how do we get the community to love it? And so that's where the entertainment really started. And it started with just the guys doing like the Macarena or jump on it one time throughout the game. And it really grew from there. I mean, Jesse loves this story that he knew it was going to work when he was walking through the crowd one day and our players went out to do jump on it. And this woman hits her husband and was like, shut up, honey, they're about to dance. And he was like, okay, we have something here. Like there are people who are coming to watch the between innings. They're not, she's not coming to watch the game. She's coming to watch the between innings promotions. And so it started with that, but I will say it was really difficult to get the guys to dance in the very beginning. Nobody wanted to because they're told this is serious. Act like you've done this before. Don't crack a smile, all these things that we're taught growing up in the sport. And so it was difficult in the beginning to get them to win over. But then what happened was those became our most popular guys. The ones who were dancing, they were the ones signing the autographs at the end of the game. So then the rest of the team was like, oh, I can do this. I want to be popular. And so, I mean, this all started in 2008. And so it has just been an evolution since then of, okay, add a little bit more, add a little bit more. Obviously now with the Bananas, it is a full out show. So proud of our entertainment team department. I mean, they have scripts where every single minute of your experience at the night is thought about. It's curated. The music that's playing, the smells that you're going to smell, the feelings, the emotions that are going to be evoked in you based on what you're seeing. They go through the fan experience for every minute of the night. Of course, we can't control what happens on the diamond, but everything around that we can control and we do. And that's why it's called a show, is because that part is all choreographed. And so we're very intentional on what your experience is going to be as a fan, regardless of who wins or loses. We said years ago, we don't want people to know who wins or loses. And so when people walk out, sometimes they'll be like, who won? They know that they had a good time. They came and escaped. They were with their families. Their phones were down. And that's what we're trying to provide.
Do you have a favorite part of the entertainment? Like one thing that's your favorite?
So many places to go here.
I know.
So really what's most special to me is that every night is a completely different show. So I actually don't see a lot of the show because I'm more on the operational logistics side. So I'm usually like underneath the stadium, but when they might make their scripts for every single night, there are like 20 things that are highlighted in green. And those are things that have never been done on a baseball field before, every night. And so what's so impressive to me is that our show is wildly different. We never want people to come and say, oh, I've already seen them. I'm good. It's like, no, every single night, there are 20 things that none of us have ever seen. So we run rehearsals a lot like Saturday Night Live. We'll run our rehearsals in the afternoons. And then if something sticks or if something's not right, we'll pull it from the script or we'll add something else in. But it's very much a live show, a live act where we don't know what's going to happen. And of course, we have tons of things that go wrong or do not end up being as great as we thought, but we'll have one or two that were wins. And that's what we're going for every night, is to just have a completely different show. And so that's what I'm most proud of, or the part that I love, is that it's so innovative every single night.
So, okay, I'm like exploding with questions. So I'm going to try and like calm down here, but I am I just want to kind of mention just a kind of a shout out to childhood. what this reminds me of, like not even 2.0, like 10.0, is a little Harlem Globetrotters, where we would be so excited when the Globetrotters came to town, but you knew the script. They were
Yeah.
always going to win.
Yeah.
But they played the Generals. Is that who they played? I
Yep.
think they played the
Yep.
Generals.
Washington Generals.
But it was, they'd get a little behind and then they'd come back. But it was entertainment. It was fun, the interaction with the crowd. And so I'm loving that minor league baseball. I feel if you look at like Bull Durham and you look at the minor, movies that depict minor league baseball, the entertainment side is always in between innings and the players never participated. So that's what is so cool, that you guys got the guys and the gals to buy into this, because it just elevates it to a whole nother level. So that's just my statement. The question is, when you have these rehearsals and you're doing something different every night, listen, on social media, they are phenomenal. I'm like, how
Yeah.
do they learn these moves? Like, I try and do TikTok with my 16-year-old daughter, and she quits because she's like, oh, you take forever to learn the choreography, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, and you're going so fast. And it's just, so what the question is, what is the time put into rehearsal before the actual
Yeah.
show?
It's a lot, but I'll say it starts months and years
Mhm.
before you see that TikTok.
Okay.
So we are so intentional now on whom we bring into the organization. So when we have tryouts, they're not really tryouts. It's like an invite only. You have to be selected by somebody who's already in our organization to kind of be nominated to even come and do a workout for us. But when you come, it's not a baseball tryout. Of course, we know your stats. We talk to your coaches. We do the work behind the scenes. But when you come, there is an interview station to make sure that you can conduct yourself in front of cameras and microphones and hold your own in a conversation with media. There's a TikTok station where you are acting things out and dancing and doing things. You have to come in a costume so we can make sure that you don't take yourself too seriously and that you'd be willing to throw anything on at any moment. So the people that we're looking for are ready to do this stuff long before we ask them to do the first one. And that's only happened because, we're at a certain level. Trust me, it was really hard in the beginning. We were begging guys to dance. Nobody wanted to do it. But now we have thousands of guys every year who are trying to be on our teams. And so we're able to be really selective to not only get the best athletes, they're super talented. They can do backflips. Yeah. They're very athletic. They're very talented in that space, in that regard. But they are willing to make fools of themselves and to lip sync and to dance and to do these things that no other athletes are doing. And so it really starts there. And then we have a really great creative and entertainment department who go through the scripts and the dances and the choreography, and they figure out which ones are going to be easy for the guys to learn, or they know, hey, this guy's good at line dancing. Like, he goes line dancing on Thursdays with his girlfriend. I'm going to put him in this. So they cast who they want from our crew for certain videos. It's all so intentional. And that's why that all happens behind the scenes. You think we just picked a guy out of the dugout and he's doing this dance. It's like, no, we picked him for a reason, and this is that reason. And so it might look really impressive, but for that particular guy, that was an easy one for him to do. So it's very well thought out between the team and the creative department. We have meetings called OTT meetings, over the top OTT. And so in those meetings, they're constantly trying to think of over the top things people could do. And they're often casting for who they want, which character, which player, for each idea. And so it really starts long before the world sees it.
I hear you, and I know it's just on the outside looking in. I'm like, they still have to execute this and throw a pitch and hit it and all these dance moves. So even though they're cast for that, it is so impressive, Emily. It's just, I would never be able to do all of that. So it's really, really cool. They're really talented people.
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the charities, because you do so much work with everything, but let's talk about some of your charities that you do, what you love about them, how people can contribute to the charities.
Yeah. So, all sports teams will do things like ticket fundraising, or a group can come out and set up a table. And so we did that for the first couple of years. But I also believe that if a group or organization is going to start something, a nonprofit or whatever, it has to align, or I should say, it'll have more meaning and it'll be more successful if it aligns with something that's truly built into the culture and the fabric of the DNA of who these people are. And so Jesse and I are foster parents. We have a ton of families and kids who come out to our games. And so the idea around supporting kids in some way is just a no-brainer for us. We wanted to make sure that we launched the bananas correctly. And so for the first 5 or 6 years, we really went all in on bananas and then creating the sport of banana ball and kind of writing our own rules and creating the party animals and now the fighter fighters. So we have 3 teams that are going. But in the last couple of years, Jesse and I said, okay, I think we're at the point where we can do something to make a real impact. We're at the stage now where it's a huge platform, and we believe with that comes great responsibility. And so while we are creating joy every day for people, while we let different nonprofits come out and set up, we wanted to try to make a real impact, like a big impact. And so we've tossed around ideas of how do we support kids and foster care. And then, of course, as he does in the middle of the night, Jesse came up with the best idea, the best name, Bananas Foster. And so now we have launched we're just coming up on our 1-year anniversary of launching Bananas Foster. And this organization is really aligned with everyone who is in our organization, what we care about. We as a group are just creating joy and celebrating people every day. And so we wanted to make sure that our nonprofit did the same thing. And so while most nonprofits will focus on fundraising or kind of talking about some of the negative things in that space to get more people involved, all of that works. We wanted to take a different approach, as we do with many things, and say, let's celebrate what's already happening. Let's create joy and talk about the happiness that's happening in this space, because there are some wins in foster care. And so every single night now on the field, we honor a family who has been foster parents in that community for 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, whatever it is. And we honor them and we celebrate them in front of a sold out crowd every single night. And so we focus on the celebrating, but then of course the byproduct is that we're educating the crowd and we're inspiring people to get involved. And so every night when we walk off the field with this family, people will get up out of their seats after a standing ovation and they come over and they shake their hands and they just say, thank you. I had no idea that was going on in this community. How can I get involved? And so our organization, we're not the licensing group. We're not the group that collects bedding or clothes, but we're the connectors. And so by using our platform, people are hearing about this because of us. And so they will come to us and say, I saw your presentation last night. I had no idea that was an issue here in Des Moines, wherever I am. How can I help? And so we have already made contacts with the local DSS, with the local CASA volunteers. And so we're just constantly connecting people with whomever is in that city and whoever wants to help, and those organizations that are already established and doing amazing things in the foster care world. You know, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to build it up. And the overall goal is, you know, we are trying to do a little bit of what the Bananas are doing. We have a wait list in the millions for people trying to get tickets. Why can't we create a wait list of foster families across the country so that when a child comes into care, we're not just putting him or her wherever there's an open bed, which could be a cot next to 7 other kids who are in that home, because foster families are famous for just saying yes. It's really important that we match that child with a family who speaks the same language, who lives in the same county, who can take care of their specific medical needs. And so we believe if we create a large enough list of people who are willing to be foster parents, that we will then help stop the cycle of more trauma down the road, where we're disrupting placements and we're pulling kids out of homes and we're moving them across the state to live in a hotel and, you know, all this horrible stuff. So that's our main goal with Bananas Fosters, to just use our platform for good, to create a wait list of families who are just there waiting in the wings, ready to support a child in need when the time is right. And we're 1 year in and we've already had hundreds of families based on just our on-field stuff sign up and start to get licensed and go through it. So we're starting to see that movement on top of supporting these families who are already doing amazing work and just kind of giving them a pat on the back. They're very much unsung heroes, and it's hard. You know, court days are hard and therapy is hard, and what these kids need is hard. And so sometimes just that recognition, I think, helps them go one more year or take one more placement. And so that's our goal with Bananas Foster, and very proud of how it aligns with us and how our whole organization has gotten behind it. We've had 2 other people within our organization start getting licensed since we started it. Our guys, all of the guys on our team have done their own fundraisers, and they do so much for kids in foster care. And so just very excited and proud about where that has started from and where it's going.
You should be proud. I think it's literally the best part of sports. I always say, listen, I'm not out there curing brain cancer. We work in entertainment, but you can use that platform to affect so many other like really important things in the world. And that's what you guys are doing. I'm just, my heart is so full listening to you, and that you're able to help these families. It is so hard, and you're helping them fill up their tanks so that they're a little more motivated and can keep going.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then you and I have something really fun in common. We're both children's book authors. So mine started in 2012, Smarty Marty's Got Game, and I just released my 4th publication this year. And you are the author of Go Bananas. So I want to know what your experience has been like in writing the book, the impetus to the book, and how did it all come about for you?
Yeah. So my husband, Jesse, started writing a couple of years ago, probably 2015. And he wrote a book called Find Your Yellow Tux, How to Stand Out and Be Different. And we thought that the message was going to be heard and resonate with entrepreneurs. And we heard a lot from them, but we heard a ton from retired people. We heard a ton from college kids. And it got me thinking, hey, all demographics should hear this message and should believe, hey, if society says fit in this box, that doesn't mean you have to. You can color outside the lines, and you can dance and go to the beat of your own drum and all this stuff. And so really the inspiration was that. And so Go Bananas was born to tell that message to children, because when is a better place to start than there with telling people you can pave your own path and you don't have to fit in, to what everybody else says. And if you get picked on for being weird, it's okay, be weird. And, look at this guy wears a yellow tuxedo every day. And so that's where it was born. And the message, we're very grateful for the feedback that we've gotten and the kids that it's inspired and how it helps, bullying and just the things that our kids are going through at that age. And so, it's been a fun project. I don't see any more in my near horizon because now the homeschool mom hat is coming on.
You'll be surprised, Emily, like what brings inspiration, because I never considered myself an author. And it was like this opportunity that came my way because of how well the Giants were doing. And I was getting known. And it was an opportunity for me to give a shout out to the girls who loved baseball. And that's why my character's a girl who knows everything about baseball. But, I'm on a span of 10 years since a little more since the first story. And what inspired me to write the last one was Alyssa Nacken getting hired as the first female coach in Major League Baseball. Didn't see that coming in 2012 when I first started. Right. And so just stay open-minded. You never know what's going to inspire you. And you have to have the time and the energy to do it. But it's once you get the idea, it goes pretty fast. It just takes a long time to publish, as I'm sure you're aware. But where can people get your book?
So on our website, that's SavannahBananas.com, or of course, Amazon, or anywhere you find books. Yeah.
Yay. I love that.
Well, I love you talking about like your leadership style and how much you've cared about your staff. Because when I see posts about you taking care of your staff and just what you said about making sure everyone's heard and seen and knowing everybody and what you can expand upon, what is the key to keeping that positive environment going? Because it's not easy. What has been your key to make that happen?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to just the people who we let into our culture. We are so, so protective of that. And not that you want to focus on the negative, but if a bad apple gets in, it can ruin a lot of what you've built. And so our hiring process is like 4 or 5 months long. And that's just for people who we're hiring from the outside. I would say 80% of our full-time people have started with us from the ground up. They were interns right out of school. And so we have been in the trenches with them for years. We have seen them at 3 o'clock in the morning after our 5th delay or after our 1,000,000th tarp pull or whatever it is. We've gotten to know those people, and those are the people who we say, yes, let's enter into this partnership together in this culture. we're so, so careful about protecting that. The players who come in are recommended by people who are already in our culture. Yes, this guy is he's going to help grandma walk to her seat. He's not going to swear around little kids. He's going to say yes to every crazy thing you throw at him. He's going to sign autographs until the last person is standing at the field. Like, we're hearing about those people before they come into our organization, and we are vetting them for way longer than I've ever experienced, a hiring process to go. So I think because we put so much pressure on that we are able to keep it so great. People are always asking, oh, is it as rah as you make it look? And it's like, I'm truly traveling the country with hundreds of my best friends. Like, we choose to be around these people. They're really good humans, and that's the way it is. That's the way it has to be if we want to put on the best show, if we want to stay true to who we are and who we dream we can be. We have to be really intentional about that stuff. And so that's why we're so careful about who we bring in, who we let into our nucleus. It's the most important thing for us. If we lose track of that, if we get off course, it could really send us off the rails. And so that is one of, if not our biggest focus at all times, is who are we surrounding ourselves with? Like you said, we never want to be the smartest person in the room. We are constantly thinking about who is in our sphere of influence and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Man, Celeste, I was so excited. I was going to see if I could get a job. And then she said, you can't swear around children. And so
when the door,
I'm
you
out
can
with
stop now, Amy. Stop now.
My potty mouth, and Celeste accepts it. So I'll keep working with Celeste. Last question for you. Just in general, your best piece of advice for people who want to work in sports or, in life. Like, what's your motto?
Just go do it. It sounds so basic, but like I said earlier, I don't think you're going to know about something until you get out there. I know school is important and it's good, but when you're sitting and reading a textbook, it is so different when you're actually out there. And so just not taking yourself too seriously, not being too proud to do something, just go out there and try it and do it. And I think that's where you'll find your passions. And what you don't want to do is just as amazing to find out as what you do want to do, because there are a million options. So just go try them.
And wear a yellow tux.
Wear your yellow tux.
Yay. Oh my gosh. You are amazing.
You are so inspiring.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I can only imagine what you have to go do, but you go ahead and go to your next gig. And thank you for bringing fun into everybody's lives.
Thank you, guys. This is such a needed space in the podcast world. I've listened to some episodes and I'm so excited to follow along and watch you guys grow it and listen to more.
So we gotta get your coach on and Jocelyn on. So we'll still be in touch with you because those would be really great
introductions.
Yeah,
happy to do it.
Okay. Thank you, Emily Cole, owner of Savannah Bananas.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Oh man, Celeste, good job.
She just gave me goosebumps.
I know. It's like I had expectations. She exceeded them. And we learned so much about bananas.
We did. Who knew? I'm going to go polish my shoes.
Polish my shoes.
You were going to say that too.
I was. That's where it's going. I was going to polish my shoes. That's a great little tidbit.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. After we're done polishing our shoes, Amy, episode 22, who's up next?
I know. Oh man, I'm very excited about this. I really am. So we have Leah Withrow, and we're still in the minor leagues here. So I love the little theme we have going on. She is the director of field and stadium grounds for the Reno Aces, and they're actually the Diamondbacks AAA affiliate. And I met her through being at a game with the River Cats. So it's rare to see a female in that role. It's getting more, what's the right word I'm looking for? There's more of us taking those roles, but it's still pretty rare. So she's, she's just kind of a boss, and I'm stoked she agreed to come on. And it's fascinating what she does to make the field playable for the players of the Reno Aces. But even you look at the River Cats, and they just came through. They came through this year. The Savannah Bananas came through Sacramento this year and last year, and the prep they have to do for these games, it's insane. So I'm really excited to hear about her job.
I am too. And I love that we're taping so early because that's the only time she could fit us in. So all you listeners out there, we're making this happen for you.
And do not judge us on what we look like.
Exactly.
Early.
And as always, thanks for joining us. Please follow us on all social media platforms. You can also win Amy's Fabulous Children book, or one of my intentions candles. And we're going to select another winner. Amy, when?
We have it on June 19th. We're going to be announcing the winner on our Instagram page. So you need to be following us on Instagram and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube. So that is Girl, How'd You Get That Gig? Our Instagram handle, once again, is Girl Gig Podcast. We got a lot of words.
Yeah.
We're at the end of a show. I'm struggling. I'm definitely struggling.
It's
But
a twister.
yeah. And we want to just congratulate our last winner, Raquel. So it's happening, people. We're giving stuff away.
I know. And it's summertime. So if you're taking that summer road trip, ladies, or you're chilling at the pool, having a margarita, or kids over 21,
over 21.
keep listening, learn some stuff while you're out and about, and we'll keep all the great guests coming. For Amy G, I'm Celeste Gehring. Until next time, go get that gig.